The secret to all training programs is one of the most common questions that I get asked is which type of training is best? Should I have private training or should I have group training? The answer is neither of them are better. They're completely different. And you can achieve amazing results from both of them. And in fact, I think the best world is a combination of the two. So let's break this down. When it comes to private training, the benefit to private training is that we're going to specifically focus on the area that you are struggling with your dog. When you're in a group setting, there's a curriculum because we need to be able to keep everybody on the same page doing the same things. Otherwise, we'd be teaching 10 different things to 10 different people in a class environment. So the private lesson allows us to focus on a specific area that you may be looking to achieve different results. So whether that's teaching something new or stopping a behavior that you've been having trouble with. The other big benefit to private training is that it's going to allow you to have a more individualized conversation about your dog. When you're in a group setting, there's some details that are a little bit more difficult to share about your lifestyle, your environment, your situation. And that ultimately doesn't allow us to have as much context when it comes to guiding you around your dog. So by working with you in a private scenario, it allows us to have a lot more context about your family, your lifestyle, your hobbies, interests, activities, and allows us to really tailor the teaching to your specifics. The big thing that we miss out on in private training is the fact that whenever we want to work with your dog around a distraction, it becomes very difficult to set these repeat situations up. So for example, if we want to teach your dog to stop jumping on people at the front door, we need to set that situation up at the front door. But once we've done that 2 or 3 times, your dog immediately knows when the trainer is knocking on the door that it's a trainer. So by doing this in a more organic way, where we're actually teaching the behavior and not necessarily the situation or environment, we're going to find that that dog is going to transfer that behavior to the environment without much difficulty, just with a couple of repetitions. So practicing right there in that specific environment is helpful, but we usually have a difficult time getting many realistic repetitions. Another situation is like we want to teach the dog to walk on the leash because he barks when he sees other dogs on the walk. Well, it just so happens that whenever we decide to go out and walk the dog, nobody's walking their dog at that time of the day, or there's only one dog out there and we don't get the opportunity to work through it. So the benefit to us working with you in a group situation is we are going to put you into an environment that is 10 times more distracting than what you will deal with on a daily basis. And I like to kind of call this stretch training. We're stretching you and we're stretching your dog to perform at a level that is actually significantly higher than you will ever really use on a daily basis. And this way, when you let your guard down or you're not really paying attention, the results that you still have are good. And you can still have a dog that's well behaved. But if we never stretch the dog, we never really push them to a higher level of distraction, then we'll have a dog that will fall apart under distraction because we haven't practiced and trained through that. So when it comes to teaching your dog in a private setting, this is where I would start if you're struggling, if you're at your wit's end, if you are just completely lost. Start off with private training. If you have a dog that's actually already doing some stuff for you, you just want to take your dog to the next level, group classes might be great. And if you want to fast track it and you really want to get to where you want to be the fastest, then a combination of private and group training bridged together will really give you the best results that you can possibly get. And if you've been doing private training and group training and you're not getting the results, it's probably because you're not doing your homework at home. And there's programs for that as well. So if you need help because you're not able to put in the time, then you should probably consider a program like a boot camp. And a boot camp is where a dog trainer, a professional, is going to do all of the heavy lifting for you. This does not mean that your dog will be trained without your help. You will still need private lessons or group classes to really take that training that we've provided to the dog and make it stick and work for you in your home environment. When your dog is doing private lessons and group classes, the method in which we train the dog should not change. We should be consistent with our lures, our rewards, our corrections, regardless of whether we're doing private lessons or group classes. The biggest inconsistency that you'll find between private lessons and group classes is likely just going to be the trainer that's running them. They may be different. And at the end of the day, the way that we train here at DogiZone, all of our trainers utilize the same techniques and approaches. So you're not going to get trainers that are going to teach you conflicting ways of doing things. They will teach you different ways of doing things. And having different ways of teaching things are just additional tools in the toolbox. It should not actually be creating conflict for you. So if you're working with more than one trainer, the best thing for you to do is when you're working with that trainer to share with them what is working really well for you and what is not working for you. So if you're teaching a new command, you should explain to the trainer, hey, the command that I'm working on is down. Here's what I've been doing that seems to be working. And here's where I've been running into problems, trouble, challenges, whatever the case is. That will allow the trainer to identify the gap between what's working and where you currently are, and what's not working or what are you challenged with and where you want to be. And then from there, they can guide you specifically into what changes or tweaks you need to make to the approach that you're using with your dog. So when it comes to making the decision of going into private training or group training, it usually comes down to cost for most people. But I'll tell you what it also comes down to: time. You are going to progress at a faster pace in teaching your dog through private lessons. So while you might spend more money on private lessons, you will most likely spend less time having to teach your dog. And the main reason why is because all of our recommendations are specifically tailored to your dog and what it is that we see and experience with your dog during that time period. So with group training, you're certainly going to have less cost, but it's likely that you will be spending more time. The training is not as tailored to your dog. It's tailored to the group or the level in which your dog is at. And so your progression will be based on the progression of that class and program. Of course, at the end of the day, it all comes down to what do you do in between lessons? Because I've seen people who are in private lessons who do nothing in between their lessons and make very slow progress. And I've also had people in group classes that crush it and do a ton of work with their dog between lessons, and they progress 2 or 3 times faster than that person who's doing very little. So it all comes down to like your level of commitment and also your level of confidence. If you're not feeling a strong level of confidence, having private training will help you to have that much more easily, because we are going to work on that with you specifically. And that confidence is pretty important for your dog to see you as a leader. If you're not confident calmly about how it is that you interact and train your dog's going to pick up on that, and they're going to take advantage of that when they see that it benefits them. The secret to all training programs is doing the homework. It's doing the work. It's not showing up. A lot of people show up to class. I remember we used to teach a lot of 6-week classes. People would show up every week. And I completed all 6 classes and I graduated. So my dog must be trained. It's not the furthest thing from the truth. At the end of the day, training is a lifestyle. It's something that has to be incorporated into your life. If you are only doing training in the training environment, your dog's never going to generalize that training and do it at home. So by doing it at home, by putting in the homework, by making it part of your day, making it part of your lifestyle, That's what's actually going to get you real world results that work.